They say all men are created equal.
Shot! Master!
I pull out the Glock. Full of suffering, succotash, son.
One of your nuts is hanging out of your shorts.
Real glass.
You have a father, but your father's dead.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Too Sweet podcast with Lucy and Estelle. This time we're back with a WrestleDream review. So WrestleDream was a couple of days ago. I've only just finished watching it, but Estelle, I know you watched a couple of the matches live because you got sucked into all the excitement and stuff. What was that like?
Yeah, I'm mad like that. It was really good. Like I've had such low stakes for this pay-per-view, and then coming out of this pay-per-view, the fact that I'm treating today's podcast like group therapy. I was like, I can't do it alone. I need Lucy here with me. I need Lucy's thoughts. It would be so wrong to do it without her. We need each other.
Need to get through this together.
Yeah, but yeah, it was so good because, like I say, I was like, well, I'll just watch one match, and then it was Jay White, and then I watched another and another, and then I cut it off at the tag. I was like, I can live without that. I can go to sleep happy.
What time was
it was
that?
so funny. Yeah, I probably about 2:30, 3 a.m. But I went to bed really happy and like in a really positive mood. So it was kind of a weird pay-per-view for me because I was like, woo, feel good. And then obviously the latter half, everything that went down. I mean, yeah, this is going to be a long one because there's a lot to break down.
Yeah, most likely. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah. So didn't watch the pre-show, absolute
Me neither.
garbage. So we won't touch on that. But let's just go straight into it. So Hangman versus Jay White. Again, I had low expectations. I was like, Jay White's probably going to lose. But I was stressed. I was stressing. Yeah, I loved it. It was what you could expect. A very aggressive match. Jay White hasn't altered his wrestling style. He's still wrestling counter on the defense. It's just that
They kept saying
Hangman's
that on
working.
comms, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, highlighting it. Hangman's working him over instead. It's really cool that is such a versatile style, and I'm glad that he can continue to make it work. And oh my God, I wasn't expecting the crowd to be so behind him. Like,
Yeah, they were.
which was so great to see because obviously he's come back from injury, and it's great to see that he's still got that hype, that momentum, and I think that'll cement in Tony's mind that it was the right thing to do, and hopefully that'll continue the push.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was surprised, like at the extent that the fans were into him, and yeah, really, really were behind him, and it just shows, I think, as well, what an effective heel Adam Page is at the moment too. I mean, the storytelling in this was really effective. I think, Jay White noticing that, Adam Page's got a weakness now. He's like unstable. He can't control his emotions, so he used that to his advantage. Like got under his skin, and then like goading him into doing things like, try to cheat, try to gouge his eyes. But I think usually like almost every single time that Hangman tried to cheat, it ended up backfiring. So that was kind of like part of Jay White's plan. And like you said as well, it's the using the reversals as well, and him always on the defense.
Yeah, which was like increasing Hangman's aggression. He was essentially just manhandling Jay White, and yeah, Jay White trying to reverse and counter wrestle the best that he could. Yeah, really, he just came across as really sympathetic, and it's interesting because when you put that to a few years ago, how these guys were. I mean, who would have thought that we'd be here and Jay White would be as over as he is, and basically a massive baby face. I don't know. Yeah, there was some great spots of the power bomb on the steps.
Yeah.
The forearm that Jay White received when he ran to the preparation of the buckshot was great. Yeah, It's kind of hard for me to remember everything, like move for move, because it was a while ago that I watched it. But I just remember my absolute excitement at him winning, which was it was a quite a quick match. It didn't go for that long. And it was a reversal. It was the buckshot to the Blade Runner, which just looked sick because he
Yeah.
just caught him in midair. And that's the great thing about that move is you can just talk about reversals. God, lose my mind, but you can just use that in your asset to counter anything, and it's kind of like the RKO or anything like
Yeah.
a cutter or whatever. Um, really really cool. I know Bray Wyatt, Bray Wyatt with the
Sister
Sister
Abigail.
Abigail. Yeah, Sister Abigail, like so many cool spots that he did in his matches. But yeah, yeah, he won, and it was completely clean as well, which I was quite surprised at
Yes.
that they would do that. But the great shot to Hangman, the anger, he had wild eyes, just absolutely
Yeah.
bewildered at the loss, and what a character that Hangman is that he can lose, and it just builds him more
Yeah, and
because
we're
you just
not
think, oh fuck, he's even more dangerous now that he's lost. And how
yeah.
many wrestlers can you say that towards?
Yes, exactly. And this is like what we said in our predictions, isn't it? That he sort of needed the loss. Uh, yeah, and so Jay was targeting his knee the entire time. So they were working that injury, and that was, ultimately the reason that Hangman ended up losing because he was sort of lining up for the buckshot for too long, and then Jay could then, reverse it into his finisher and win. So yeah, it was really good storytelling. And yeah, Hangman just looked so insane after this, and like the comparison of him before and after the match is so funny. Like he's so frazzled. His hair is all over the spot. His eyes are like it's wild. Yeah, it's love the character work, and this match was just a great example of character work and storytelling, and it was a good wrestling match as well. But that was what made it stand out the most was the way these two have both come out looking after it, like just in terms of their character and where they can go from here.
Yeah, I'd love to see more as well. Like, it was quite a short match. I felt like there's
Mm.
definitely more they could do, so I wouldn't be mad if Hangman wants to sort of get his revenge, because I guess this still doesn't really answer where are we going forward with Jay White. I feel like after this pay-per-view, a lot of people could be like, oh, these are the TNT guys. Oh, this is where the tag titles are going. This is where um the main event scene's going. These are our top baby faces, but Jay White still hasn't been placed, so I am a little bit concerned that because we're not doing anything with the trios title, they're gonna put him
Mm.
with the guns, and we're gonna get a face run of the Bang Bang Gang holding the trios title. But yes, I wouldn't be mad if we run this program a little bit longer. But yeah, I really enjoyed the working over of the leg, as you said.
I
And
think
yeah,
that
like I say, it's just the storytelling that sold it.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And what I was just gonna say was that like the pop was so big when Jay White won
Oh,
that
it was in my bedroom.
yeah, it was all coming from there.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where you heard it from.
Tony Khan has to listen to that, and everyone in the back has to listen to that and pay attention. Like, this guy is a single star. Juice Robinson was on the outside. He didn't get involved at all. It wasn't really relevant him being there. So it just proves that you don't need to put him in a team. You don't need to get over in that way. He was really, really over in this match on his own, and I hope they pay attention to that.
Yeah, I love him with the team. I think it's a great buffer, and I think it's given him a lot of personality. You pair that to him in Japan, and I think to myself, God, like they've diluted his character a lot. But then I think, no, you can't think like that, Estelle. Like his character's just translated to an
Mm.
American TV. And one of my concerns is I was thinking about this is just kind of left field, but if he ever went to WWE, what would his character be? Because I think they'd go down the obvious route of the Randy Orton
Mm.
storyline, because that's the whole reason he became wrestling. That is a hot. It's gold right there. But it would be great to see as a dream match. But then he'd just kind of be reduced down to like, oh well, you're just a fan, and I don't know. I just yeah, it's just hard. Like I think when you've seen him since those days, and then now. and you just want him to be that killer again. And it's kind of the same way that I think a lot of people feel about Kenny. Kenny peaked with the cleaner, and I just feel like we've always kind of been chasing that since then. Um, but I enjoy them as a buffer, my point being, and I think that Juice brings that comedy and brings out a lot of personality. And there is no way that Jay White would be able to have as successful of a face run as he's having if he wasn't with them, I don't think, because I think he's developed his character a lot in that sense. But I still prefer him as a heel.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like they add a lot of personality to him and a bit of spice that makes him a bit more interesting than if he was just on his own. But that doesn't mean we want them to wrestle as a trio and like win the trios championships, because then that just takes away from his individual merit and achievements and just sort of dilutes him a bit. So yeah, that makes complete sense.
That's the concise summary. We love it. Lucy, very coherent today. Should we move on to the next match then? Or any other thoughts on Hangman Jay White?
No, I mean we've summed it up. Actually, the way Hangman was using like the strong style moves the whole time, like he was really trying to kill Jay White, like just the power bombs like you mentioned on the stairs and stuff, and nothing. There's not loads to observe about that apart from it just adds to his character of like he's unhinged, he wants to hurt people, and I thought that was a great foil for Jay White's more defensive style, like we've already talked about. So they were just great in the ring together. Like great match.
Two of the greats having a great match. Next up, this was. I don't know. I honestly, in terms of, it's so hard because there was so much good wrestling on this card, right? And I think band for band, it will be the triple threat match. I think a lot of people would be their favorite match, and I love that match because Takeshita won. I love the previous match because Jay White won. But I think how I felt minute for minute, bell to bell, I think this was my favorite match of the night. I'm just gonna throw that out on a limb. Mariah May versus Willow. I really really enjoyed this. I thought it was brilliant. There wasn't a minute wasted at all.
So true. What a good observation. Like, yeah, and I didn't think of that until you just said it. But you're absolutely right. It was all gore, and I did think like it was so back and forth, and I did pick up on how it was very 50-50 and the crowd were really into it. They both looked really strong. And yeah, you're so right. It was just like the action. And I love that how the stark contrast between them. Again, I'll say this until I go blue in the face, but like the character work between them and the storytelling was really good. Yeah, and it was super like hard hitting too. I thought a lot of the moves looked, I don't want to say this, it sounds stupid, but it looked real. Like they looked like, oh, that looks like it fucking hurt. Yeah, I really enjoyed this one too.
Yeah, Willow just completely met Mariah in terms of like aggressiveness, and
Yeah,
as I said, like she just works so well with that pissed off baby face. So you don't think anything of it when she's biting her ear or
yeah,
the yeah, like I said, the aggressiveness that she was wrestling with. I thought the flow was amazing as well. Like I don't think it's that often that you see a match that flows that quickly. Never mind in a women's wrestling, but in wrestling in general. But especially women's wrestling, like it really stood out and I think set the bar. And I think especially for the past few pay-per-view women's matches that haven't really lived up to expectations, and then Willow and Mariah go out there and just set fire to it. I'm like, you know,
yeah.
just you know, these people deserve it. There's no doubt about it. No one's bitching on Reddit or Twitter. But then again, because no one's bitching, no one's really talked about this match at all, and because of all the other things that have gone on the show. So
that is so true and so frustrating as well. And that reminds me of that video you sent me of at the press conference when no one had any questions for Mariah and she popped off on them, which was like in character, but you could tell she meant it, which she was totally valid for. It's like, how can you not have questions after they put on a brilliant match. It's your women's champion. You could have just asked her like, that was a really great match. What did you think of it? Something like that. But because it's good and people aren't bitching about it, like you said, the people aren't talking about it because it's been overshadowed by a lot of drama on the card, which is sad.
Yeah, and that's the thing, innit? That just proves even more so because that's all people are talking about is that press conference. Like if they are talking about it at all, and it's just the
Mhm.
toxic nature, I think, of the IWC that is just controversy and getting clicks, and yeah, I just don't understand it. But yeah, I loved Willow in this. I loved how commentary made note of how she'd picked up techniques from her time in Mexico.
Yeah.
I loved the knee lock and then just annihilating Mariah's head. And then following that by the cannonball. That was really cool. Yeah, I love the near fall. Um, with the Mayday, I thought that was really good. I thought the investment of the crowd again, and I was taken aback because like, I have my little faves, and I just think they're my little faves because they haven't been being pushed. So then when they're being pushed and everyone else is behind them, I'm like, oh my God,
Feel
like
like proud,
actually,
don't you?
Willow could be the face of the company. Do you know what it could? We could live in the good timeline, guys. We could get there.
Maybe Tony Khan's listening to our podcast and he's like, I'm gonna do this for Estelle. She deserves it. You got good taste, basically.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I just felt like I couldn't look away for a second. I was on the edge of my seat or my bed, as it were. And then that gnarly Death Valley driver on the corner to
Oh my
Mariah.
God. Yeah, brutal.
It's brutal. Um, and then the finish was the Rana teased to a power bomb on the top rope, but she couldn't get it. And then once the Rana had uh, been enacted out, we had the Storm Zero for the win, and I felt like we'll definitely see that power bomb on the top rope one day for her to win the belt. I felt
Yes.
like that was definitely something long term, and I just put star making performance. But the thing is, it's not like Willow wasn't a star before. Like she's every match she's been a star. But I just yeah, it's a shame because they're obviously waiting for Tony to come back and Mina Shirakawa, and you don't want to eclipse that big storyline that you had. Uh, Especially with like how successful it was and how much people raved about it, and it was like people's most anticipated match on the card. But at the same time, like Mariah's not really had a lot to do, and Willow's so hot that it was like, oh, imagine if she won, you know.
Oh, I know, and I'd love for it. I think you're right. I think it is sort of like teasing that in the future it's gonna happen. And I'm willing to wait if we can see some really good stories pan out before it and get the good build to it. But this was a great match. It would have been so sweet to top it off with that, with her winning. But I just loved I thought the finish was really good. Because, like you said, there was like that moment where it was like Willow was going to counter it into a power bomb and she just didn't manage to. So yeah, yeah, I'd love if that was like a running thread in the next match and we could, call back to that. That would be great. But also, the Storm Zero is just such a great finishing move. And I've seen people complaining like, oh, it just looks shit. It's a shit pile driver, but it's really not because it's like you can hit it pretty much out of the blue on absolutely anyone. And it just proves like, the size difference between Mariah and Willow, and she could hit it and it looks really damaging. And yeah, that was my main takeaway from this. I just think that move is really awesome.
Yeah, it's a sick move. Don't know what people are on there. Um, but yeah, there was only one women's match as well, which is of no,
Yeah.
we had no TBS title, which is interesting, but I don't know because that's another issue with at the moment is that the TBS title's kind of eclipsed because of said we're kind of spinning our plates. Um, we're sort of spinning our plates for Tony Storm's return. And so everyone's kind of going for Mercedes when that shouldn't really be the case.
Mm.
Why are people not wanting to go for the top title? Why does it not have as much of a scene around it as the world title does? And there's so much stuff that is going on in the women's division, but it's just so scattered. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot
Everyone's
of
kind of
disjointed
doing their
things.
own little thing,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's difficult. Like there's so many little mini feuds, especially on Collision,
Mm.
but then you're not seeing it on Dynamite, and they're not going for the title. So it's like unless it's like a blood feud, like well, I suppose Stat versus Willow had the title um at points, but unless it's like a blood feud, just have them focused around the titles because it just unfortunately like Mariah's a great wrestler, but it just kind of weakens her aura a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I agree. I think that they announced Mercedes versus Queen Aminata on Dynamite like during this pay-per-view, and it's just another,
Right.
and it's just like another example of that, isn't it? Just just scattered stories and like mini feuds going on. And it's just a bit confusing, a bit convoluted. I mean, we talk about it pretty much every week on our Dynamite reviews, don't we? So yeah, but it's just a shame that there was only one women's match. I know that was it Anna Jay versus um Harley Cameron
Harley
on the
Cameron for the pre-show,
pre-show.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's the pre-show. It's, I don't know.
But then
Obviously, we
again, it's
didn't.
not hot enough, is it? It's not hot enough steak to put on the main show.
Well, yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. If you want two women's matches on the card, they gotta be worth it. You gotta build for them. So yeah, that was I think a weak spot of this pay-per-view.
Yeah. But would love for Willow to go all the way, and just be pushed to the moon because
Yeah, 100%.
she's just we rave about her every week. She's just absolutely fantastic. And Mariah's great as well when she has something to do.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
so give her something to do, please. Um, Next up, Jack Perry versus Shibata. This match I didn't really enjoy. This match just I really heard anyone say this. Maybe they have, but this match just didn't work for me.
Mm,
I think for a lot of people, they didn't think about this deeply because they don't like Jack Perry, and so
right.
they just saw Shibata kick the shit out of him. But for me, I thought this match was just really exposing. Is the word I'll use?
Okay. Exposing what?
Well, I just felt like it was exposing of Jack Perry. It made him look really weak. It
Yeah.
And not in the way of like, oh, this guy's a heel, we hate him, it's fun to watch him get beat up, but then he got the win. Yay. He just looked shit. He just looked like he just looked like a chump. It just didn't work.
Yeah, I can see why you'd think that, especially as a Jack Perry fan. Like you want him to come across in a different way, and definitely he looked weaker than Shibata in this. And that was kind of the point in a way, like, he's the veteran and he's, Jack Perry's disrespecting him, he was spitting on him, he was trying to hit him with the chops and he was getting no sold and Shibata could just take him down
That's just
straight away. Yeah, yeah, it was hard. Yeah, it's hard because as a heel, how do you really get into it when it's the heel getting beaten up and just getting shit dished out to him? And then, I mean, we haven't even touched on the finish yet, but that again was interesting and sort of feeds into your point, I think.
yeah, I totally get that Jack Perry's whole heel character is he's not he's not he's a shit talker. He runs his mouth and he fully back it up in the ring? Not necessarily. But he's so warped and delusional that he sees everything as sacrifice, and
Mm,
if anything does happen to him, it just builds his self-righteousness. I understand that. And I think that that's a really cool character to have rather than just the usual. We've got so many different shades of heels. I mean,
Mm.
Hangman on Page, he ain't like that, is he? He ain't taking shit. He's gonna go in there and murder your ass, and that's really cool that you've got two different types of heels.
Yeah.
However, however, Jack Perry is a good wrestler. He was a good, and that to me is what made me a Jack Perry fan. Way before when Jungle Boy Jack, he is a great wrestler, and to be honest with you, I think as a heel, he's not as great as a wrestler because he can do more lucha, he can do more high flying stuff, and that's when he gets over more. But I understand he had to change his wrestling style, and he's been sort of finding his niche and kind of
Mm.
carving that out, and it has been working for the most part. However, I just think this just took it too far to the point where he
Mm.
I understand the whole story. Shibata's the veteran and he is the wrestler and he's going to out wrestle and the strong style of Shibata, but that only works if I don't know if like it's like you said, it's more like Shibata as the heel and Jack Perry's the babyface trying to overcome the odds. It's so weird. And for him to give the chops and the crowd to just have no reaction, and then that to me was like the worst part.
Mm.
Like that
Yeah.
he was giving offense and there's just no reaction. And I understand that that's partly on him. That's partly like booking. That's like other people not being invested. And at that point, like what can you do? Like, I'm not everyone's allowed an opinion out there. But that was just hard to watch. I just found it really hard to watch. I don't know. I just found it really cringe.
I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. I didn't find it the most entertaining. I don't think I found it cringe, but I was just sort of like, oh, it's a bit disappointing, really. Like, yeah, like you said, it's just hard to get into it when it just feels like he's just getting sort of swatted like a fly, or like an annoying toddler, like, go away, you little annoying piece of shit. And he didn't, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was weird. And also, I feel like the build to it wasn't great either, which obviously didn't help. Um, so yeah, and also massively overshadowed by everything that happened afterwards. It was a bit of a mess, really.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's meant to be like a transitional
Yeah.
match to get us to that. Like Daniel Garcia was always the main objective, and that's really cool. And I'm happy that that's how we. I'm not mad at it that that's how we got there. I don't want people to get the wrong impression. So I'm not saying that I want Jack Perry to absolutely have gone here and annihilated Shibata. Like that's not what I wanted
Mm.
at all. Um, he has to have some kind of edge to him. He can't. It it can't be that his only edge is in promos. When he's in the ring, he has to at least back it up somewhat.
Mm. Yeah.
Whether that's like, I don't even know because MJF's always like in the ring, he's always kind of had edge, but even in his early days, in that with the diamond ring and
Mm.
pulling that out of his pocket at the end, it's like he's got that mean streak, and you'll know he'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But Jack Perry just I can't explain it. There's nuance to it, and I'm not very good at explaining it. But yeah, the finish, Shibata getting pinned while having Jack Perry in the submissive hold. Yeah, it was kind of out of left wing. The crowd didn't really know what to make of it. I'm just like I don't really care. Like I wasn't one of those people who really was really mad. I was just like, okay, like I was just like, it's over.
All right.
Thank God. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? Like, it made sense. Yeah, he had his shoulders down. He was overzealous and he got trapped into a false sense of security. But it's not that satisfying, climatic finish. But I think it's not just the finish as to why people feel that way. It's because the whole match, it was like a squash match and then a weird ending. Like, of course you're
Mm.
going to feel weird about it. And it's not just the fact that he got pinned from putting in a hold and yeah, then he just looked stupid after making Jack Perry. What a trash match. Get in the bin. This match can just get in the bin.
Yeah, that finish was really anticlimactic, and yeah, it was just weird. I get it, like Jack Perry winning in like the shit house way, just like he wrestled, and that's of course he'd win that way. But I don't really know how many favors it really gave him because it didn't seem like he did it on purpose. Like,
Yeah.
oh, he's so clever. He's masterminded this manipulation tactic so he can pick up the win. It wasn't really like that. It was more just like a happy accident.
Yeah,
So it doesn't do
literally.
anyone any favors, does it?
After
Does
he's
make
been
him all shebang
chopped to
wrong.
fuck. After he'd been chopped to fuck, he's given some powerful moves. He didn't look weak when he was giving his moves, but just to no reaction to the crowd.
Yeah.
And then to have that ending, just like you say, it didn't come across as like conniving and like calculated. It just came across as, oh well, Shibata looks like an idiot for doing that, but here, Jack Perry, happy accident that he won, but he didn't. Oh, it was just garbage. Anyway, he starts beating him down with the belt. Daniel Garcia came down. Obviously on Dynamite the previous week, Shibata had said that when he wins the belt, Daniel Garcia was the next one to hold it. So that's kind of his tie into this. And he gets between them both. Yeah, the ring becomes cleared with Daniel Garcia in the center because obviously Jack Perry just, balls. He just runs off, and then MJF enters. So this was like, oh my God, because the minute he's filming Happy Gilmore 2, I believe. So no one was kind of expecting him to come back, and I thought like we're done with the Daniel Garcia stuff. To be honest with you, that's kind of where it seemed like to me. So I was like, oh okay, okay. Yeah, he walked in with intent, and he gave Jack Perry the opportunity to strike Daniel Garcia in the back of the head, and yeah, he begins brawling with Daniel Garcia, sort of gets him down on the mat, just raining fists. And this was great. He put his foot on the throat of Daniel Garcia and cut a promo, and then
Some local
stopped to
sports
beat him
team.
some more.
Yeah. Yeah, some local sports team heat. Couple more
Yeah.
kicks and punches, but then continues the promo.
Yeah, just bit. Yeah, like I said, cheap heat, and then the mentions the bidding war, short-lived bidding war. He found his diamond ring. The Daniel Garcia will kiss it as Adam Cole enters, which was just absolutely um shocking. Again, like you're like, what the hell? When's the madness gonna end?
Yeah, it was just, it was like, oh, that's the unexpected part of this done. MJF, that was another surprise. Yeah, definitely unexpected. And both of them, like, I hadn't, not really like been rumors or anything that I'd seen at least. So,
No. Yeah, Adam Cole enters and is, it's all about the boom. There's no mention or hint of Undisputed Kingdom at all. He's just
no.
coming out of vanilla Adam Cole. Um and yeah, he's there to get rid of MJF. So in a face capacity, Max retreats, Adam helps Garcia up, and he says that he's just sort of spurting all kinds of threats as he goes up the ramp, saying that Max is a dead man, and basically he's gunning for him. So, I mean, there's just a lot to unpack. I know it's easy to just jump into the Adam Cole stuff, but yeah. So let's just rewind back. So Daniel Garcia is he is as it seems to be the number one contender for the TNT title, which I think is great because as we said in this match, the confused heel versus face lines have not did not work. So I think it's good that we've got a really clear defined, justice hungry baby face
Yeah.
for Jack Perry to go against. I think that's really good, and I think that's exciting. And Jack Perry hasn't really had like a proper feud with the belt. I don't feel like it's just been quite bitty. It's just
That
been
is so true.
the odd people. So I think that's good for him. Max coming out. I don't think I think it is to kind of keep spinning the wheel of Daniel Garcia, but I think because he's going back into filming, I don't think he's going to have like a strong involvement with Daniel Garcia. But I think Adam Cole coming out. Yeah, I mean, clearly we're just forgetting that everything happened, and a lot of people are upset about that. But what But this is the best that they can do at this point. I say to those people, what do you want them to do? Like the Undisputed Kingdom, it didn't work. And this is so much better. It's so much better to just cut your losses and hit the reset button. And yeah, it's shit. It's shit. And in a perfect world, it wouldn't exist. But this is the best course of action.
It's the reality of the situation and like what they've had to do to deal with the reality of the situation. So yeah, it is a shame and it is weird. The people that like people are cheering Adam and booing MJF considering what happened between them. Yes, that is weird, but it makes sense for now. And if that is going to get explained somehow in the story, I don't know. We'll see. Probably, I guess probably not. We might just pretend it never happened. Which, yeah, like you say, is shit. But that's just you have to move forward, and that's how we're going to deal with it. That's where we've landed now, and it is. You know, if you try not to think about the past, it's the best for now, and it is fun. So you can complain about it, or you can just try and enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with AEW is for the past fucking year, they have had it in their head, we are going to have a heel faction run this company. They tried it with Undisputed Kingdom, it didn't work. They tried it with the Elite, it didn't work. And now they've finally got something, it seems, with the BCC. And it's hot because of the ending of this pay-per-view. And it finally seems like the jigsaw pieces have fallen into place. That's been the overall goal for a while. And it sucks that Undisputed Kingdom didn't work, but hey, the Elite didn't work either. So, you know, it's just the way it goes. You throw shit at a wall, you see what sticks. But really, when you think about it, like I don't think it is that much of a stretch of an imagination as to why. Like it's not like totally logical. Like if you break it down, you know that they had the summer of friendship and that was cute and all. As well, I think in terms of storyline purposes, it was very clear that they were writing on the fly and that this was never the end goal or anything was to have this epic feud. It was just, oh, let's put them together. But then they got over so much so that they decided to do a long-term thing. Anyways, they have summer friendship, all in happens, there's tensions, and then Adam Cole betrays MJF because of his jealousies, insecurity. And yeah, Max was the clear-cut face of that. Undisputed Kingdom kind of tries to monopolize on AEW, but it just doesn't work because of Adam Cole's injury, so they kind of put it on the back burner for a little bit. In the meantime, MJF, it's kind of reverse psychology and they mirror each other because MJF has an Adam Cole moment where he becomes jealous of Osprey and then he becomes a heel, but he takes it way further than what Adam Cole did because if you think about the way he brutalized Daniel Garcia, meanwhile Adam Cole's at home, he's having time to think about everything. Maybe he's having time to think about, oh shit, maybe like, you know, maybe I should have done that. Maybe he's having a question of morality. You know, he's having some deep moments, going doing some Reiki, some yoga, I don't know. But he looks at what Max has become and he kind of has a come to Jesus moment, wakes up and he's like, oh my God, like I could have been going down that path. So then when he does return, he does the right thing. Yeah, it's not the story they were telling, so it's a bit threadbare, but I think it's still there and you can easily spin it that way.
Yeah.
It's just the Undisputed Kingdom part of it that's so strong in people's minds. But you know, it just it is what it is, and it's like you say, you can bitch and moan about it, or you can just accept facts. You can just accept it and just become invested in the BCC.
Yeah, which I certainly am. So yeah, I agree with you. You make a good point, and like when you lay it out like that in kayfabe terms, it's not all that far fetched. So yeah,
Yeah. I think maybe ready to move on to the
triple threat.
the freeway, the triple threat. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Takeshita versus Osprey versus Ricochet for the international title. Oh, I mean, this match was a oh boy, this match was a lot. This match was great. It kind of worked out exactly how you'd think it would in that Osprey and Ricochet are kind of doing their own thing, but Takeshi's just coming in and just laying him out, and even they can't overcome. Takeshi just looked so strong in this.
Yes, he really did, and he was like the standout, I think, for me, just because he was the perfect foil for those two doing their flippy shit and him disrupting that, and not letting them. Those loads of moving parts with like everything they did, but it was all executed to perfection, as you would expect in this match. But yeah, like it wasn't a repeat of Ospreay versus Ricochet. It was Takeshita really was the game changer in this, and he got a huge reaction from the crowd, which you know he deserves, and it just proves like just how effective he was in this. That he was so over, and to be that over when Ospreay and Ricochet are in the ring, it speaks volumes.
He's the most babyface heel to exist.
Yeah,
Um, for sure. Yeah, I thought everyone looked like, even though Takeshi was standout, I thought everyone looked completely equal, and
yeah,
it just really flowed together. Like the strength of the flippy shit and them doing it in tandem against uh Takeshita looked great, but then Takeshita leveling him out looked great. And even though it's pretty obvious that either Ospreay was going to pick up the win or Takeshita, like in terms of the match flow, everyone looked like an equal component, I thought, and that obviously made it look great. Um, yeah, it was just insane. It just like that bit on the outside apron. It kind of just went like beyond wrestling to just looking like a video game, or like Super Smash Bros. I think I wrote down.
oh my god,
Osprey using Ricochet
that
to
is so
elevate
true.
himself.
The thing with this match was that it's like you can't explain the spots. You just can't. You have to watch it because it's not, you can't process that shit in your head. It's not possible to recreate it with words. You just have to see it for yourself. And there was a lot of batshit crazy moments that, that just defy wrestling, and the it was just so fun. It was so entertaining. I think like we expected this from this match, and it lived up to the expectations for sure. And like the crowd was just eating out of their hands. Every single move had a reaction from the crowd. I realized that especially towards the end, it was like every single move was like, oh, like massive reaction every single time. So yeah, it just proves like what a brilliant, well, like good pacing as well. So it wasn't all fast, all go right from the very beginning. It was well paced, like with Takeshita like breaking it up, and yeah, really, really effective. And like you say,
Yeah,
all
and
three of them look good.
that's such a criticism of like these types of matches. Like, oh well, because no one's selling the moves, like how is it like no one's appreciating it? But the crowd kept up with them, and the crowd did respond to every move and match them um to that point. So I think that kind of criticism is invalid. I really loved the joint German to Takeshita, and then Ricochet and Ospreay doing the joint Poison Rana, to then Takeshita getting up and doing a double German on both of them. And I think that spot
Yeah.
just kind of speaks volumes to what we're talking about. Um that yeah, everyone was kind of doing their own thing, but Takeshita, just the strength and the size of him, it's just amazing. I could just watch him all day. I just love him. I just love the way he executes moves, and because of his size, everything just looks so impressive.
Yeah, and it doesn't look fake either. Like, you know what I mean? Like powerful moves like that. It looks like you believe it. Like yes, he can do that, and he can take both of these guys out with minimal effort. Like, why wouldn't he be able to? You're not watching it thinking, "Oh, that's just bullshit." It's believable.
God, yeah. And like his forearms as well, the way he uses them, just as part of his move set now.
Mm,
Um, some people have got kicks, some people have got working punches. He's got those forearms, and
works really
just
well
looks
for
great.
him.
And yeah, for sure. Then where the match kind of entered its sort of last act, we've got this table that's been set up, for quite some time, and Ricochet, um, his pile has a pile driver delivered to him by Takeshita. This looked brutal. Like this looked absolutely awful. And we didn't see Ricochet for the rest of the match either. Like the camera didn't pan back to him once.
Yeah,
There's
no.
been no report that I've seen that he got injured during this, but fuck me. This looked bad. I thought like the way he took it, I was like, oh, it proper made me cringe.
Yeah, same, because like the table is normally sort of like a buffer, obviously. Like it looks awesome, but it just break the fall. But the way that I don't know, the way the table broke was like his head went straight through it and straight on the floor, just like spiked him right on the floor. It looked like anyway. So yeah, I just wrote down Ricochet's dead rip.
Pretty much. But a great way to write him out of the match because yeah, I
Mm.
mean, believable. Like yeah, you wouldn't be getting up from that. So as Takeshita's getting back into the ring, Ospreay's awaiting him and he delivers the hidden blade. But as he goes to make the cover, Callis pulls him out of the ring. This was really a really cool, like shocking sequence.
Yeah, I
Callis
think
comes
most people
in.
thought it was over then.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that would have been a fine ending. It would have been a
Yeah.
battle worth a great battle, and we would have been talking about how great of a match it was. But oh, baby, it just kept giving. Callis comes in, and he's got the screwdriver. Um, Osprey begins to set him up for the Tiger Driver, but um, he is um, Callis is saved by Fletcher, who for a while they're like, who could this possibly be?
Oh, that was so funny when, yeah, everyone else was like, who is this? And Nigel McGuinness was like, it's Kyle Fletcher. And they were like, but who is it? Who's the guy wearing the hood? And he was like, it's clearly Kyle Fletcher, which it obviously
Yeah,
was. You could clearly see it was him.
it was very funny. Um, yeah, he delivers a knee strike to Osprey, and then did he set him up for a Tiger Driver himself? Or have
Yes.
I just
Yes, he
hallucinated?
did.
He did
He
because I
did. Yes,
swear
he
I
did.
remember. Yeah, because he just drops him on his head.
Yeah,
The
you're right.
way this move was delivered and executed, and then it's Takeshi that comes in and takes the slow count victory. Um, yeah, just looked absolutely uh, brutal. What a great move and a great way that's um been used. And then Takeshita picked up the victory. I mean, holy shit! Like I was just ecstatic because I'd after my Jay White one, I was like, well, that's it. You know, that's your Christmas present for this year, Estelle. Like, you're not going to complain about anything else because you got Jay White to win, and then Takeshita wins the gold.
After this was amazing to me, especially after our conversation where you had pretty much convinced me that he was in fact going to win, and like it made the most sense for him to win. I was like, oh shit, yeah, you're right, but it was still sort of wishful thinking, and then it happened, and I was like, oh, I'm happy for you, girl.
Literally, I'll talk myself up about shit, but then when I'm actually watching it, I'm like, I work myself, and I'm like, no, it's not happening. It's not
Yes.
happening. Um, but yeah, this was really cool. Kyle Fletcher obviously has now turned his back on Ospreay. He's fully aligned with the Callis
Yeah.
family,
What do you think
which I
about
think
that?
wasn't as predictable. Like I think
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, cool, fair
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah, I think it is cool
Like
because,
cool.
thinking about it in the long term, that's way more exciting actually, because now you can have Will and Kyle have like a feud, which will be really awesome. And it, yeah, it makes him a bit less morally grey, but actually in a good way. I think someone in our comments was saying how he was sort of starting to seem a little bit weak in a sense because like he didn't make his mind up and blah blah blah. But I think he came across strong and like an asshole in this, which is what you want. You should want him to come across in a strong way.
Yeah, and I think with Takeshita winning the gold, that re-strengthened the family, and then for
Yeah,
Kyle as well to put his stock into it, it fully, like we've been kind of like oh about the Callis family, but after this pay-per-view, I'm like oh shit, like the Callis family, like
yeah, you pay
yeah,
attention.
fuck yeah, fuck yeah, like and how quickly it was to fix, and it just goes to show that these problems where you're just like sick of acts and you're just thinking break them up, and it's like with a good bit of booking, a good bit of storytelling, you can save it. So that does make me give a bit of a side eye to certain things because I'm like, now, well, I know you can fix things
Yeah.
very quickly, Tony. So start fucking
Go
doing
do
it. But yeah, it's like going to Dynamite. I'm excited. I'm excited for Takeshita's reign. I'm excited for Kyle Fletcher. I hope he gets to cut a really scathing promo, and it is more interesting and it is more for his character. It makes him look stronger. If he was to turn his back on Callis, he would look weaker. And you can still have that face turned down line when you want to do that United Empire thing. Maybe when Davis returns, maybe you want to have them all together. I don't know. But yeah, I think brilliant. Absolutely
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was a fun sort of way to end what was already a great match.
I'm still gunning on Takeshita Okada.
Yes.
And as well, if we do that, what we can do is we can unify the belts. That's what I want. This is what I
Yeah.
want, guys. I want them two to go against each other, and it's whoever wins becomes the undisputed champion, and we can just unify the belts because the Continental belt is absolutely worthless. It means nothing. So that's my hopes and dreams.
You know what? I think Tony Khan needs to pay attention because that makes complete sense. And you're
New
right.
head writer, guys.
Yeah. Get her hired. We don't need these two belts. We don't. You're so right.
Yeah. Still a really funny random segment with Renee, with Jerry Lynn of all people,
Oh yeah, what the
and
fuck is
Orange
this about? I
Cassidy.
forgot about that.
And he's just saying, you could be the man. If you wanted
Yeah.
to, you could be the man. Like, you've forgotten who you are. And then Hook's just like, you could be Orange, and then just walks off. And it was just so random for like a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like,
Like, I
it's
just
just,
feel
and
like
Jerry Lynn of all people.
could we not have saved this one and aired it on Dynamite instead? Just kept it in the library and put it on Dynamite. I don't. Yeah. Don't really know.
I liked it though, because I think it leads into like what happened in the main event scene. And
Right.
because Orange is now going to be a top face, and it kind of pushes his long-term intentions of one day being the face of the company and wanting to win the belt, I think. And I think it just sort of pushes his motivations. But yeah, it was fucking random as hell. Then we got Prince Nana promoting his coffee.
Which he did
Brought out,
when we saw him at that after party after All In, and he was just like, we all know his website by now because the amount of times he repeated
yeah, yeah. Trying to get that bag. And he obviously brought out Swerve, who talked about his medical update. He's cleared, and he wanted to address his hometown. He's in Seattle. He talked about the future, and he's been sort of getting to his goals. And then he was cut off by MVP and Shelton Benjamin, who was like, "You ain't called me back. You know, I've been reaching out to you, hitting up that email, hitting up the DMs." And he says that Swerve's career is floundering after his loss at All In. He talked about their history, their match in Defy, and yeah, and then Swerve talked about Shelton, gave him his flowers, talked about he was an inspiration for him. So that was sort of nice, just setting out all that history and those connections that those guys have got together.
That was nice.
And he says that MVP's made some great points. He's not wrong. He says, being with Nana, he's lost the main event of All In and his childhood home, but without Nana, he wouldn't have had those things. But him and P go way back. And it was so, you know what this reminded me of? I don't know if you've seen that meme of like MasterChef, like Gordon Ramsay, and the guy's like, your dish, it's absolutely insane. Good. I love the flavors. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen that meme, but that is literally what it reminded me of. So I was just pissing myself.
Yeah.
It's like those stupid memes, and it's like the guy I'm talking to doesn't give mixed signals, and then it's like that meme. It's just like so real. Um, so yeah, this is comedic. Um, he says, Nana's got his flaws. He's neurotic. He's sporadic. He's still selling weed to high schoolers in car parks of hotels, but he's family, and he's gonna stick with his family, and he's gonna choose Nana. And so he ultimately rejects the deal MVP's presented towards him. But Shelton says they weren't asking him, they were telling him, and if you're not with us, you're against us. And then there's a pull apart with Christopher Daniels and the referees. And then it ended with a cute little hug between Nana and Swerve. Now, a lot of people had two things to say about this. The first thing was why, as a talking, some people are saying that there should never be a talking segment at all in a pay-per-view. To which I say, it never bothered me. Like, I don't care unless it's like totally irrelevant. I just don't really give a shit. I think on a pay-per-view, there's often worse things than a talking segment,
Yeah,
i.e., a Jericho match. I think it's a weird hill to die on. Number two,
I
people were
agree.
mad because they booked in their head that Bobby Lashley was going to debut. Bobby Lashley didn't debut because there was 1,000 other fucking debuts before, and you're greedy. You know what you are? You're
Mm.
bloody greedy if you're upset about that because it's just like the entitlement, the absolute entitlement that Bobby Lashley should debut for me. No, Bobby Lashley will debut when it means something, and we'll give this time to cook. And when he does debut, it's going to be miles better because he's not going to be overshadowed. There's more
Yeah,
hype brewing up for Bobby Lashley now. So stop moaning. Stop moaning.
exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. Just because you thought something was going to happen for no particular reason, you just thought, oh, it's going to happen tonight, and it didn't. Doesn't mean it's bad. It'll have more impact when it happens on maybe on a Dynamite where there's not going to be another big return, like you said, to overshadow it. Um, and well, yeah, I just think that I mean, I'm not a big fan of talking segments on pay-per-views either, but I feel like this was an exception because it's his hometown and he wasn't booked to wrestle, but it was a big announcement that he was cleared to wrestle and him making his decision. So it is a big enough moment, I think, and I didn't think it was out of place on this. It didn't bother me at all.
No, and it was nice. It was nice that yeah that I'm excited. I'm excited to see this feud going forward. Um, I'm I'm just yeah I'm just excited and
Yeah,
yeah I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I'm down for it. So yeah. Next up we had the 2 out of 3 falls. Match with the Beast Mortos and Hologram, and this match did stick out like a sore thumb. This stuck out way more than the previous talking segment as to things that shouldn't have been on this show.
yeah, right,
Plus,
exactly.
um, this was sad though because this was a great match, and I looked at both these guys and I thought you could not do anything more right now
Mm.
in terms of in-ring ability, but the crowd are just not feeling it, and you could even sense I felt like as an empath, they're that they were really trying and that they were like, why aren't the crowd getting into it? And it's like, babe, it's not you, it's me. It's just it just it's
Yeah,
this would have been fine on the pre-show. It would have gotten an appropriate amount of response. I think it would have gotten a better response on the pre-show as a warmer because, hell, it was a great in-ring match. I think it would have warmed the crowd up brilliantly. But after these all these returns and all the excitement and title changes, and then to have this, it just no, it's
yeah,
not how the world works,
yeah,
unfortunately.
you're so right. You're so right. And it just suffered from the placement in the card as well. Like you said, it would have been a perfect warm-up on the pre-show. Get rid of the bloody 8-man tag or whatever and stick this on instead. That would have been perfect. But it was the piss break match. And I don't like saying that because that's usually with sexist connotations and it's not a very nice thing to say. But you could see people in the crowd were literally getting up and going for a piss during this one. And it's just like these two aren't really stars. But a lot of pretty much everyone else, like all the other matches, feature big stars. So this one, like you said, it makes this one stick out like a sore thumb. And even though it was a really good match, like there wasn't nothing wrong with it, and it was good in its own right. It was just didn't fit. It just didn't fit. And you need a match like this, I think, to sort of come down and All matches can't be all go all the time. You do need something in the middle, and it's a shame that this was that one because yeah, like you said, you could tell that they deserved better and they didn't really understand what wasn't quite working.
Yeah, and just small tweaks, like LFI are a thing now. Mortos is aligned with that. Why not bring out Jake the Snake? Why not just
Yeah,
buffer it up a bit more with something, anything? And for a 2 out of 3 falls, that should feel like huge stakes. But it never did. It never entered that third gear because the crowd investment just wasn't there.
yeah.
Yeah, Hologram took the first fall. I thought that it was kind of out of left field. Um, I had a question though. Who won you over more in this match? Because obviously they're both, like they don't really have huge star power, huge draw, but it was a good match. So even though Hologram won, like I don't know who benefited more from the match, I guess.
For me personally, Beast Mortos stood out more to me. Just
Agreed.
not really for. I'm not saying he is clearly a better wrestler or anything like that. Just for me personally, I've just got more into him in this. I feel like Hologram's mask is so boring when you compare him to Beast Mortos and like this really unique presentation and it's not just the mask but like his eyes and he's got contact lenses in, he's got makeup on it. Like I don't know, it looked really awesome he and then he could do like he has a mix of the power with the lucha style and that's really unique and really cool. So which to me is just far more exciting.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're trying to clearly push Hologram as the main boy, but then
Yeah.
you've got Mortos, and Mortos reminds me he's nowhere near as good. No one will ever replace him. But to me, he's a Penta in that
Mm,
he's got that blend of styles and he's got that edge and he's just got something a little bit more about him.
yeah.
Penta's always gonna be like my top luchador. Like no one's ever gonna come close to Lucha Bros. But
But yeah, that's yeah, exactly. Such a good point. It's the same sort of vibe, isn't it? Just the multifacetedness and also like the charisma in to an extent as well,
yeah,
which is hard when you can't see someone's face, but definitely seem more charismatic.
yeah. There was that brutal spot as well where he picked Hologram up and just launched him. Had
Yeah,
him overhead like it was nothing and just threw him onto that ramp. That looked nasty. Mortos took the second fall, or his first fall, should I say. Um, and there was very little mention on commentary of Hologram's winning streak because I thought they're going to put that over like mad because you were like, they're going to put it over and then they didn't. And I was surprised because I was waiting on it and they didn't really talk about it that much.
yeah. They mentioned it when he got the first pinfall. They were like when Mortis got the pin, and he was like Tony Schiavone was like, oh, that's his first ever pin. That's the first time he's ever been pinned here in AEW, and but then they didn't mention it after that.
Yeah, yeah. And then uh Hologram took the third and final fall um against Mortos with the portal bomb, which I agree with you when you did your review. That is a cool finisher. But yeah, I feel like it's just weird because as we've said, like I feel like Mortos won us over more. Mortos has got a stable with Jake Roberts, so I just what I don't get it. I don't get it.
I also thought that Beast Mortals looked way stronger, especially in this third fall. Like, felt like Hologram was kicking out from a lot of really strong moves and then hit his finisher and won, and that was sort of it. I don't know, I just feel like he didn't come across as particularly strong. It was like, I don't know, the finish sort of came out of him eating a lot of offense and then suddenly hitting his finisher.
Yeah, it didn't work for reasons of one, why is this here? Two, just the match was just weird because like we say, like doesn't you know the person who looked weaker won, and
Yeah,
that's never good, is it?
no,
Um,
exactly. And how much good would it have done for Beast Mortals to win? Like, that would have been great. Like, oh my, he was the first person to pin Hologram, and that could have boosted him, but whereas now we've just got Hologram continuing this really long undefeated streak, which eventually is going to have to come to an end. And
Oh, who cares?
yeah,
Who cares? Brody King versus Darby Allin. Um, Darby had a little video package. He was skating about, tailing a bus to the Tomoka Dome. Is that what it's called? Tacoma Dome.
Dome.
That's it. Tacoma Dome. Um, Huge size difference here. And the crowd were telling you what they want. The crowd were hugely behind Brody King. They love
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, and it was like I wasn't really expecting that, but Darby's like, isn't he from Washington? So
Yeah.
yeah, again, just wasn't
I don't know if
expecting it.
Brody is as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
not
he is.
sure,
I don't know where he's from.
but it's just like I don't know. The crowd were very vocal, and it was maybe not the people who you were always expecting them to be behind, but it was nice. It was nice. You know, when the crowd's really into it, it definitely helps.
I think for this, I will say Darby's reckless style didn't piss me off as much. I think it worked in this match because of the size difference and because Brody King is so big. I quite enjoyed the recklessness and him just using his body as a battering ram because it made sense, and
That
so
is
I
so
could
true.
appreciate it. And I felt like it was a good Derby match. It wasn't just doing stupid shit for the sake of it. It's like, oh my God, this monster's coming towards me, and I have to do it.
It's like, yes, I was gonna say like to defend yourself. It wasn't like he was being defensive, but it was like he was being offensive in the way that the only way he could, like you say, using his body as this weapon in a match where like he couldn't use other weapons. That made sense rather than like you said, just throwing himself off a thing for the sake of throwing himself off a thing.
Yeah, the best defense is offense sometimes. And oh my God, the spot with the steel steps,
Yes,
where Brody King climbed the steps and began stamping onto Darby Allin. That
I
was
love that.
awful looking.
That was
Um,
such a unique spot as well. I've never seen anything like that before. I thought that was really great. And it looked like, fuck me, that looked like it really hurt as well.
yeah, it looked like you could imagine like his insides like being squashed.
Ugh.
It was awful. And the steel steps, how many times do you see someone getting thrown into steel steps, but how many times do you see something like that in
Yeah.
wrestling? It's like music, it's like art, it's like you've heard every chord progression.
Hmm.
How many ways can people stroke a paintbrush in a direction and make it look unique? Wrestling the same. But people still continue to do crazy stuff, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that metaphor. What an amazing metaphor. So accurate.
Yeah. Um, and then again, the steps continue to be featured. The steps were basically a third man in this match. Darby pushing Brody King from the top rope onto the steps, and then the coffin drop.
Oh,
Um, and then the match pretty much ended from there because Brody King came in to break the 10 count to receive another coffin drop, and then at the end, he shook the hand of Darby. So it's like you said, because at the start, this was a very weird feud because it's like, oh, we are doing the thing that Lucy said we should do of let's do this as like a show of respect. But then that kind of got lost
yeah.
because it went from 0 to 100 back to, oh no, we are doing like a respect thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, maybe we should just kept it like this. Oh, but then would it be boring? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm glad that it ended like this. Made the
Yeah,
most
it was a
sense.
lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and it did what it needed to do. So yeah, no complaints from me for a
Yeah,
derby
no
match.
complaints from me either. Didn't stand out as like I don't think anyone would watch this and say it was their match of the night. I don't know. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comments if this was your match of the night.
So next up we have the tag title match. We've got the Young Bucks versus Private Party. Matt came out absolutely dripping in pearls, which popped me. We had Top Flight in the front row, giving a cunty side eye. Private Party had like a little video package, uh, giving Rocky free. Bet John Moxley loved that. Uh, the Bucks cut a promo saying 5 years ago they pinned Private Party pinned them, but they've done nothing since then. So they'll always be mid card, and they strike them, so the Bucks saunter off. Sort of. The thing about this match, especially with the finish, it's just really weird because not only before the match, but the whole time they've just been telling him, "You're losers."
Yeah.
Not only them, but BCC, you fucking losers. You're just stupid losers, and then they lost, and it's just like
And
what, like
and like the video package that you were about sort of was like that as well. Their trainer, I think it was Amazing Red, was like, "Well, you beat them 5 years ago. You've done nothing since then. You dropped the ball. You fucking losers." And then it was like, "Fuck, that's a lot of pressure on them to win this match now." Like that's the only impression I got from that was they've got under a lot of pressure. Like everyone's basically telling them that they fucking suck and they need to prove themselves. Um,
yeah.
and then they
I
didn't.
understand like creating stakes and stuff because it's been a pretty low build, and that's because,
Mm.
well, that's just it's not Private Party. It's the conundrum of the title scene in that they maybe if there was like a team above Private Party could have built up in the background and then come round. But there's been no one. It's just
Mm.
FTR and the Young Bucks title, and
Yeah.
the Outrunners are pretty hot, but you don't want to belt them up that fast. You want to get them to chase it. So it's just unfortunate that the division's weak, but this is just the awkward part of building them up. But it's just a bit awkward again when you're getting Amazing Red out here, you're pulling out all the stops, but they're gonna lose. So it's just I don't know. It's just very weird. Um, yeah,
Hyping
as I
them
say, the
up,
Bucks
but sort
saunter
of
off.
putting them down at the same time. Sorry. Just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's
like hyping
confusing.
them. Yeah, yeah, it is confusing. It's like hyping them up, but also like, yeah, just putting them down. Like, what have you actually done? And it's like, fuck, okay, a bit harsh.
Yeah, I feel like a casual watching it, they would be like, oh, like there's some sympathy there. But I feel like for a certain type of fan that's gonna watch that and be like, well, yeah, they are fucking stupid. Why should I care? If you're telling me not to care, why would I care? Um, yeah, but the Bucks go up the ramp. The party chasing, but they're met with super kicks. They've sort of been uh baited in. We had Quen doing a swanton off the tunnel. Then we had a return to the ring, and this had a much slower pace than I was expecting. I didn't think this was a
Mm.
good match, to be honest with you. Um, I thought that what kind of carried it was how hot again the crowd. They let Tony Khan know they are behind Private Party. But I think especially compared to like the previous matches, I just don't think this is what I come to expect of either of them. It was a very slow paced match. I don't know if that's because the Bucks were working over Private Party, and maybe the Bucks are better on the opposite end of the spectrum, being I don't because I do think the Bucks are a better heel team, but I think they work better against like an FTR. If like the team they're going
Mm.
against are also flipping, I guess it's like we need to stop and start our momentum of the match. But I don't know. It just didn't really work for me.
Yeah, I didn't find it the most thrilling. I think it picked up a bit towards the end, like the pace, and there was quite a lot of near falls towards the end.
Yeah.
A lot of Private Party kicking out and looking quite strong in that regard. But yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, there was just something didn't quite click with it, and I think you may be right because their styles are very similar. They didn't really foil each other. It was yeah, it was sort of they were sort of matching each other, but not in the way where it's like oh it complements each other. Their styles meld really well. It was more of like oh we need something a bit different from this.
Yeah, I thought Zay was the standout in this. He got the hot tag. Um, yeah, and it did sort of pick up towards the end with them kicking out.
EVP trigger kicked out of.
Yeah,
That's quite a
the
surprise
EVP
for me.
trigger. I put the Reaver into the idea of Private Party losing, or more likely the idea of, sorry, the Reaver really into the idea of Private Party winning, or more so the idea of the Bucks losing. And it was the TK driver for the win, so they weren't victorious. And a lot of people were upset about this, and they were like, "Oh, like Private Party should have won." I don't think Private Party should have won. I think they made you feel like that because they sort of manipulated you with the video package and with all the promos talking down to him. And it's not that they should have won, it's just that they shouldn't have presented it like that. But then again, it's tough because then how would you create stakes? The tag division just give all I ask is just, even though I'm shitting over this match a bit, we just need to give the tag division a bit of grace because it's like a baby infant at the minute. It's like where the women's division was a few months ago, and we gave that grace. So I just feel like, as shit as it is, it's in a bad position, but it's in a corner, and it's not like I can criticize them, but I'm like, what else could they throw out at the same time? Because there's nothing to throw out. We're at the bottom of the toy box. This is what we've got. Like, so I don't fault him. But yeah, then we had Top Flight. They were vindicated. And we had Stokely smirking. And Zay was really emotional. And then we had a really nice finish with him standing and Quen and the crowd generating their support. So
I thought we were going to see a turn. There was just something about this that made me think that
really
Quen was going to turn for some reason. I don't know. It was just something about him being like emotional and then I don't know, like just pulling the rug from underneath him and fuck you, this is all your fault sort of thing. But that's not to say I wanted that to happen. I just sort of thought it might. I'm not shitting on it for that not happening. I don't think that would have made this any better. Like maybe it would have made it a bit more interesting, but yeah. I think you're right. Like it wouldn't have helped the tag division for Private Party to win this. Like they came out of this looking. There was
more
a big
sympathetic.
Yes, exactly. There was a big sense of failure for them, but that's not buried them. It's just made them more sympathetic, and they did look quite strong in some parts of the match. So I don't think winning would have, that would have been a sticky plaster on a big ass wound that wouldn't have done anyone any favors. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean with Stokely there, I guess does that mean that he's going to become involved with them? But I don't know if I'm really feeling that combination because Stokely kind of works as a heel. So how is that going to work when you've just made him out to be one of the most sympathetic babyface tag teams that you've got going right now? How is that combination working? Unless they are going to go for a turn and they're like, oh, we need to be more serious, which I wouldn't enjoy if that is the direction they go down because I think they've got something special here and the way that Zay was emotional and the crowd was connecting with him, I think that's really special. And especially with how heel dominated AEW is right now, I think you should run with that emotion.
Maybe
for sure.
Stokely's going to play on that and be like, well, basically what everyone's already been saying to them, you fucking suck. You need some direction from a guy like me. And might be some comedy segments, I don't know, where they're basically like, no, we're not interested. I mean, that's not going to go anywhere if they do that. It's just a dead end, but I guess, I don't know. I prefer that to them, like you say, like them turning heel doesn't really sound entertaining at all. It's more intriguing with them being these sympathetic baby faces because you've just hit the nail on the head that it's pretty lacking with that in that respect on the roster at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously Private Party, not a Private Party, Top Flight is something that they really want to push that faction at the moment. So yeah, I mean, I'm all for giving them a bit of personality. So yeah, like why not? Let's see where that goes. Moving on, we've got Briscoe versus Chris Jericho. Mark was straight on Chris Jericho to be expected. And Bill was intervening to level up the odds, so he had to sort of overcome that. And then Orange came out to support his conglomeration homie. And I just found it so funny how it was almost like a video game character spamming the orange punch. And as well, I just laughed because I thought the orange punch is such a goofy move.
Isn't it? It's like Superman punch as well, and Big Show knockout punch.
Big man, my favorite wrestler, Big Man.
The Big Man punch. That'd be my finisher if I'm a wrestler. But yeah, it is a goofy move. It's just like you're gonna punch a guy when he's knocked out, and any other time in wrestling when you punch someone in the face, it's not like that. It's different.
It's the way he delivers it though, because it's not just a punch. It's like he jumps up and then he does like a little dance. It's so hokey. It's so hokey. I love it.
It's like the
But
Superman punch, isn't it?
yeah. Um. So Briscoe's energy, I thought, at least brought some semblance of pace to this match. It wasn't as much of a slow burn as a Chris Jericho match usually is, because obviously Matt Briscoe's very pissed off. He's disrespected um his brother Jay in the promos, and later on he went to go on to do the Jay Driller, which JR was so funny on commentary because I can't remember, it's Shivani or Scalps like about to hit, oh my god, not the J Driller, and then he was like, wanna tell us why? I thought that was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and but it was nice that he got his revenge with that. Like that was just a nice touch, like the tribute and stuff. Yeah, it was a nice ending.
Yeah, we had the elevated cannonball through the table, so that's cool. And yeah, throughout the J Driller he kicked out at two. We had the froggy bone, um, and the J Driller delivered by Matt Briscoe for the win, and it was a pretty feel good moment. The crowd was behind him. Um, but again, I could have done without this match. I could have done without this feud. It's very short term, and that's just all Chris Jericho is. It's so obvious. It's like we need to write him into something to keep him busy. Oh fuck, this has run out of room because there's nothing to it. Oh fuck, now we need to throw him in with someone else. So,
Yeah, it's like quick
yeah,
wins rather than, and it's not even like wins, it's just quick fix. Like, how can we get him in summer? I just didn't, yeah, I agree with you. I just didn't see the point of this feud because now it's over. Okay, good, good. But like, what was the point?
yeah. Yeah, so now we're going to move on to the main event. Jesus Christ, lots to unpack here.
Ooh,
Um,
ooh, emotionally exhausted after watching this.
yeah, it's been a few days and I still don't think I've fully processed it.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, let's get through this together, guys. So Danielson comes out to Final Countdown, but he can't even make his finish. His he can't even make his entrance as Moxley just instantly mauls him on the corner, and this was fun because they were just fighting to the song. You know, gotta if we've paid for it, gotta
Gotta
make
get the
sure it gets
most out of
played.
that.
But you know, it was Shades of Anarchy in the arena. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Mox strangling Danielson with the cords, Danielson returning the favor. And then the insanity of Danielson calling for the match to start and how amped up the crowd were because it's the final countdown and like they're just fighting. Oh, it was so cool. It was so I can't put into words. It was so cool. Like I don't know.
Well, it simply was so cool. And that song just simply is so cool.
Yeah. Thank you for the wrap up of that.
So intellectual.
Yeah, this match was an absolute all out war. You
Yeah,
could quickly see why Danielson had said, you know, I'm leaving the kids and family at home for this one.
yeah. Not a front row.
No. We had the pile driver on the Spanish announce desk,
Oh my
and
God.
then again using the mic cable to choke him out, and lots of, as you can imagine, targeting of the neck throughout this. Lots of
Yeah,
pile
literally
drivers.
from the start, just clinical on the neck. Moxley being violent as fuck.
And during this as well, Mox took a swipe at Nigel, who was like, "What the fuck, man?" And he looked quite outraged, and you were expecting his intervention during the match, but that didn't come. But that
Mm.
will clearly play into some part of it. Um, Definitely, I thought maybe Nigel's gonna intervene and help Danielson out, and
Mm.
that's kind of how I was sort of taking it, but that didn't happen. So I don't know whether later down the road we're gonna get a Mox versus Nigel match, or I don't know.
Hope so.
I don't know. I'm sure it playing to something, but that was a
That'd be
pretty cool
lovely.
call out.
And yeah, and also because Nigel on commentary was like, he was being sympathetic towards Brian. He was like, I don't like, even I hate Mox. Like, why is he doing this? Like, I can't remember exactly what he said, and it's annoying me. But to that effect was like, he basically trying to say like, I the thing that Mox is doing right now, I don't condone this. This is disgusting even to me, and I don't like watching this. So it's very much like throughout the whole match, it's just positioning Mox as the ultimate villain. You know, he's not going into this. I mean, it didn't even feel like it was for the championship. It was just, even though obviously it is, but it was like, I just want to end
I'm
this
gonna
man's
murder him.
career.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, his intent was very clear. And Marina Shafir, her involvement, and yeah, commentary continues putting over that it's Danielson trying to not only protect the title, but to protect AEW at large from Mox's agenda. And it definitely felt like this battle of good versus evil. A lot of people I've seen have compared this to, sorry, I'm not a virgin, so I can't remember Infinity War, Endgame, whichever one it is that Thanos wins. But a lot of people have been comparing to that. But yeah, it does have like that final sequence in a movie of good versus evil.
yeah,
For
definitely.
sure. And in AEW, this motif of good versus evil, it's been contending for a very long time. And I said before, a couple of years ago, it was friendship and overcoming
Mm,
struggles. Like Hagman's an alcoholic, but we're gonna overcome it. And yeah, like I was jealous because you were more friends with the books than me. And
mm.
oh no, friendship, friends, and all that. But now it's not, and it's spiraled out of control into like Mariah May ripping apart Tony Storm out of jealousy, MJF and Adam Cole and their jealousy, and the rivalry between Swerve and Hangman. And this is just like the peak of the mountain, the penultimate. And it's like, which one is going to win? Danielson is such a figurehead of this, and that's why Mox needs
So
to take
true.
him out.
That is so true. And like, and Mox saying that he needs to save AEW, but like, what from? Like, what does he mean by that? He's got it in his head that the company's fucked up. And he wants to change that. And yeah, like Danielson is the ultimate figure of like AEW and good, and he's just so purely good, and everything about him is that. And it was so true in this match, especially it being his home state and the way everyone was so firmly behind him. The amount of passion and emotion in the building was really palpable.
Yeah, and people were behind him, not in a, oh my God, like he needs to win. Like, oh my God, what if you lose? People were just like behind him because it was very it was very unpredictable to finish because not at any point during this match, even to the last second, is anyone thinking that the outcome that happened is what we're gonna get.
That's so true. Yeah, it was very unexpected,
So
and
people are cheering him on, not realizing they're cheering on a murder. It's
yeah,
fucked up.
it's so fucked up. Wrestling is fucked
So
up.
the yeah, for the sickos, for sure. So the first arc is sort of Mox punishing Danielson. We have Marina ripping up the mat. Uh, Mox stand on the neck of Brian while a fan heckled him. It's your
Mm,
fucking brother. I'm like, the emotion was palpable, guys.
yeah,
Real emotion, real the feeling in that. I can't imagine what it must have been like for you guys who watched it live and
yeah,
how emotional it must have been because I could just think back to what it was like all in and the atmosphere and
yeah,
what it must have been like here with totally different shades of, it's not. It's Swerve's just like a mini boss, isn't he, compared
yeah,
to Mox. And it really is emotional when you think about it. It's easy to overlook that Mox targeting the neck of Danielson. Anyone targeting the neck of Danielson, it's awful to see. But yeah, that is your brother, and it's like you've been with him for like over decades now. You know how that neck injury has played into his career and how like you've seen his struggle post matches, and for him to do it so coldly with such little emotion, it just hits different, man. It hits
yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah. You're so right, and he was just so brutal in this, and like even his look has changed and everything about him. And Mox is just different, and he's so good in this role. He just they're just perfect against each other, perfect opponents. They couldn't be more different. When once they were, like you said, like brothers, they were friends, they were in this faction, and they were great together, but they're even better as enemies.
Yeah, when they had that same goal. And
Yeah.
obviously that is not the case anymore. Daniels had a small comeback. He did the suplex to Mox on the exposed concrete, and I just wrote this match is war.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, then we had some mat wrestling and just the sheer exhaustion it felt like went from second to third to fourth wind, and Mox just being relentless with the pile drivers. Um, just yeah, as I said, knowing the struggle and the weakness that's brought Danielson to
Yeah.
enact that. Like I said, it's totally different Mox. Um, and then towards the end, he lifts Danielson up and he says, "Don't make me do it." And Danielson spits in his face, and we have the Gotch style pile driver. Um, and he begins to choke him out, uh, sort of in a headlock with pressure on the neck. Um, and Danielson's clamoring for the rope, and I thought this was so poetic because he's clamoring for the rope, but because the fans are cheering for him, it's like he's clamoring for the fans. It's like he's
Oh,
clamoring for
yeah.
like to fight for good. I was like, oh, this is cinema. This is fucking art, man.
Oh my
This is
God. So,
art. But as this is happening, he's overcome by being choked out. No climax. It's the 1, 2, 3. He has
yeah.
won.
No big moment. Like,
Boom.
that
No
was
all
it.
in. No all in big moment.
No
No,
fairy tale.
even tapping out would have had more emotion, but that
Right.
emotion was ripped away, and that's a stylistic choice. Um,
Yes. Definitely.
it's a choice. It's like yeah, it's just all the emotion and all of that. Like I say, it's palpable just before the fans clamoring for him for his comeback, and that being ripped away. No one was allowed a climax. It was just dark. It was, and again, like how this isn't just loss. This is the end of his full-time in-ring career,
Yeah.
and people being totally wrapped up in that because I think because of the emotions and the way it's been set out, a lot of people felt like it was the end of his full-time ring career. I mean,
Yeah.
it's his whole ring career at large, and then a lot of the criticism is, well, that's not how you do retirement. He's not retiring, so shut up,
Yeah,
shut up.
that is a great point. I think it was very sanctimonious, but in a good way. But that doesn't mean that it had to be this big sanctimonious ending where, oh, there's confetti everywhere or something really big. You know, this is exactly what Brian wanted, most likely.
Oh yeah,
He
he wanted to,
wanted,
he wanted to lose to Mox. He said it. I
yeah,
wanted to lose to Mox,
and he wanted
and
Mox to look as strong as possible.
he had to. He's gotten to a point, and he said that since the start. His neck injuries, and he even said, "I've maybe taken it a bit too far. I've done matches that I shouldn't have done before WrestleDream." He
Yeah.
knew that he was burning the candle at both ends, and so yeah. And people are upset because they're like, "Oh well, it doesn't build any new guys." First of all, it's up to him whether he wants to go out to someone else. It's like HBK and The Undertaker. HBK wanted to go out to the fucking Undertaker, okay? Like, no one was pissed off at him for not building stars. So,
That is
what are you on about?
that's an invalid argument to me. That I mean, that is just daft, in my opinion. How can you think like that? That's very close-minded to me. I think that's just a crap excuse for, oh, I didn't like this match. You didn't build a new star. Like, if he would have lost to a new star, there's them same people would have been complaining. Oh, I can't believe Bryan Danielson went out to this nobody or something along those lines. You know what I mean? Like, it's it's invalid in my opinion.
Yeah, and not people can lose and still be made a star. It's
Yes.
the look at Swerve, the fact that he got to main event all in and go toe to toe with Danielson and lose and then have that show of respect. That is just a star building,
Yeah.
as it would have been Swerve beating Danielson. I truly believe that. I truly believe those endings are equal, because of the presentation.
Yeah.
And also, shut up, because they've built up Yuta, which we'll get into,
Yeah.
um, who is a new star. Thirdly, it's his bloody choice. It's disrespectful, quite frankly. I'm sorry, I'm right now. It's disrespectful for you to tell Danielson how he should go out. It
Yes,
is
exactly.
fucking respectful. If that man has given his body, his life, his heart to wrestling. He loves wrestling. So for you to sit there and type away on your keyboard, well, I think Danielson should. You just you're fucking mark. You're a fucking mark. And I'm sorry, it pisses me off because it's the entitlement.
Yeah,
Who gave you that entitlement?
exactly, exactly. And they wouldn't say it to Danielson if they met him in the fucking street. You know, it's like being behind the fucking keyboard. And yeah, it is disrespectful. It is. And it's just like, he's the GOAT. He can go out however he goddamn wants to. And in either case, this wasn't bad at all. In fact, that ending is perfect because Mox comes across like a fucking despicable, disgusting murderer who
Yeah.
has, done everything he can to target Brian's neck, even gone as far as tearing off his tape and stuff like that, and ultimately won the match by targeting his ultimate weakness, which everyone knows about. So why wouldn't he do that? And now, talk about building new stars. Whoever defeats Mox now is just made.
Exactly. And you got that happy ending at All In. You got that
Yes, that was
beautiful, beautiful moment with his family, the confetti,
yeah.
the fanfare, the huge crowd attendance. You got that.
That was that moment, right? That was the feel good moment. We don't need another one. That was your feel good
Yeah.
moment. This is the ending.
This is real life.
This reality, guys.
I saw this great thing on Reddit. I've just got to read it all out because it just cracked me up. This is such a Danielson ending, so I have no doubt that he decided on it himself. Lol. He saw a crowd of people who would have exploded in joy for him winning and said he wanted to make them all feel awful and sad. He's a sick bastard like that. And someone put Brian in speech marks. We need to make a memorable end of your reign. And then someone just put, oh, I can't show it because of the fucking camera. But they just put like a meme of Danielson just looking at the camera. It was great.
I know the meme. I know the meme of Danielson.
Yeah, just
looking
like
at the camera. That video of him.
I was
where he's
like,
like,
cracked me up. I was like, it's so true though. And
it's very him.
he's such a pure, humble, sweet man. But also
He's a sicko.
he's a sicko to his core. He's like, get that bag on my head, threateningly.
He wants people to think he's actually died. Like, do you remember that time when he got landed on his neck and he was like having a fit and people were like, "Is this shoot?" He loves this shit. He gets off on this. He wants people to think, "Oh my God, he's never getting up. He's paralyzed."
He loves it. He's laughing.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's the fallout from all of that, with the destruction that he's laying in his wake. He's laughing and he's loving it.
He
And
gets
that's his
it. He
goal.
gets it. He wants you to feel things.
Yeah, that's what makes
And
him
everyone
the very
felt
best.
things.
Exactly.
So some people complain, they're like, oh, well, I watch wrestling to feel happy.
Okay.
I don't know what to say to you. I don't think you're watching the right product. Like, I just
hope.
don't think this is for you. Like,
I seen someone said something like that. Someone screenshotted it and put it on Twitter and was like, "I'm sick of Disney adults like overtaking my hobby. Like, go away. This isn't the fandom for you."
real. It's hurt XC. It's hurt slash comfort fan fiction, guys. You need the angst to get to the fluff. Come on. But yeah, but I mean, going into the actual finish, like when I watched it, which was a while ago, I was shocked. I was like, absolutely, yeah, the emotion. Think like, oh, it's not the most climatic finish, but then I'm like, that was the whole point. And I sit on it and I think about it, and I'm like, it was meant to make you feel uneasy, and it just wouldn't have worked had it been a pinfall, loads of near falls, 1, 2, 3. Danielson, the post-match angle wouldn't have worked in any other context because
Right.
Danielson would have gotten up and then he'd have been beat down, and that would have just been hokey and overbooked. Say it was a submission and he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to tap out. I'm going to tap out," and then he taps out again. You need Danielson to be absolutely incapacitated for the post-match angle to work, and the post-match angle is what built up the stars, and what laid everything out and created the next year probably of Dynamite programming. So yeah, and it's not the final hurrah of Danielson. He's going to come back, and
Yeah.
oh my God, it's going to be awesome when he comes back because look at what he's the vengeance that he's got to lay out.
Oh, exactly. And he's gonna help probably someone who's gonna dethrone Mox. And that pop, imagine that pop. It's gonna be brilliant and it's gonna be amazing. And that's it. That's what it's about. You build into the payoff and these moments. Just think if you're feeling depressed, don't worry. It's gonna be a happy moment in the future.
Yeah, it's the tone of the product right now, but
Yeah.
it's like there's lots of people like Willow Nightingale, and there's Willow Nightingale. There's this face, there's Jay White. They'll come save us. But yeah, let's get into the post-match bit now. So
Yeah.
Marina hands Mox the bag, and they put the title in the bag. But again, the title's quickly stored away, because it's not, we don't get a shot of Mox holding up the title. That's not the center point of it. The point is we need to get rid of Danielson. So he takes the bag and he takes out a plastic bag and he hands it to Wheeler.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, originally it looked like he'd come out to help Danielson at first, but then he had started attacking Darby, and I was really surprised. I was like, "Oh shit! Oh, we're doing this, right? Okay." I just wasn't expecting it. And then but the thing is, he's still conflicted. It's still a grey area for Yuta, so he has. It seems like he's aligned himself, he's chosen his side with the BCC, but he didn't want to do it. He still didn't want to do it, even when he was bloody suffocating Bryan Danielson. He didn't want to. He was reluctant. So it's still an interesting story.
Yeah. Yeah, Darby came down and tried to make the save, but I say not Willow, Wheeler. Sorry, their names do sound like Wheeler striked Darby, who is then taped to the corner of the ring, and he sort of put in the place that Wheeler was before, which was it was very poetic. And yeah, Yuta was really very distressed as Mox hands him the bag and he begins to suffocate Danielson, and Darby pleading just as Yuta had been. And as you say, the conflict that he was in, but I think he has made his mind up, and I think he is cemented into the BCC. But for me, it just shows how malleable he is to the indoctrination, and he will follow the strongest leader, kind of like a sheep. And in the past, the strongest leader was Danielson, but when Danielson's laid out, you understands the wider message of, it's about getting rid of the dead weight. And, Pac and Claudio, especially like working him down and burning him down with them holding the trios title. And, it's not like Wheeler hasn't been showing this mean streak, this dark side, because during post matches he's been kind of laying out his opponent, but you kind of have been thinking, oh, that's just his emotions getting the better of him, and he doesn't know how to regulate and direct them towards his teammates because he's so conflicted. But yeah, it was absolutely, it was shocking, but it made sense. It wasn't like, oh, like what the fuck, because it's like these seeds have been sown, is my point.
Yeah, I agree. And it just shows that, yeah, he's been worn down, like you said, just by Pac and Claudio, especially Claudio. I feel like there's definitely a story between them two that still needs to play out. Because did you see the fan footage of them like fighting as they walked away from the ring after all this happened?
No, I have not.
So they were like bickering and stuff, and Claudio was trying to put his arm around Wheeler, and Wheeler was pushing him away, and they were sort of bickering as they were walking through the crowd and nearly coming to blows. So that, again, it just goes to show, doesn't it, that this is not, it's not clear cut, and there's still something that needs to blow out here.
Yeah. And I think this was star making,
Yeah.
Wheeler being handed the bag, because that's the most important thing, is laying out Danielson. And to people who say, make a star, well, your contrary storyline would have probably been Jay White versus Danielson. And I fucking love Jay White, okay? But it would have probably been like a Jay White or Takeshita or someone like that. And they would have just had a run-of-the-mill vanilla storyline and beat him in a 1 hour long match.
Mm.
And Danielson would have taken the pin, and then there would have been like a handshake of respect. But that just doesn't make sense in any of the context of what's going on right now. This is the context. This is the story. This is the emotion. And you complain that you want emotion, you want feeling. The emotion is being served to you on a dinner plate.
Right.
His former protege is killing him with a plastic bag. Like,
God, yeah. You don't get much more emotion than that.
no. No, you really don't. And Darby as well. Darby as well. So then people begin starting to come out. Jeff Jarrett, JR, not Jeff Jarrett.
Not Jeff Jarrett. It was sort of like not Lenny from The Simpsons. That's what it reminded me of. That was very funny. We shouldn't be laughing at this moment, but I was.
No. Private party. And he's like, oh, well, it's a bit late now, don't you think? It's like, fucking hell. Mox puts these all get laid out, and Mox puts Danielson's head in the chair as Cesario. Oh, I can't speak English today.
Cesario, my favourite character from Shakespeare.
Big man and Cesario. What's wrong with us? Cesario stomps the chair in almost like a curb stomp, just to
God,
like kill him off, double tap.
I just. But now my favourite wrestler is a murderer, like in canon. Hashtag confirmed. What does that say about me? I don't know. I think it was interesting that they got Claudio to do that and not Mox.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Cesaro just delivered it in a way that Mox like da-da-da.
It's like, I guess it goes to show that Mox is the one directing traffic, getting everyone to do his willing. He has done the dirty work by doing the match, but then he can get everyone to do everything else, and they're finishing the job for him, sort of thing. It just further establishes him as a leader.
Yeah, and further indoctrinates them and encapsulates them as being a part of what they're doing. They're not spectators. They're not on the outside looking in. They're not. They don't have. They can't have that moral questioning that Yuta was having, where when he was on the outside of, oh, this is wrong. If you're part of it and you're intervening and you're breaking the man's neck, well, then you have to believe in what the message is, because otherwise you've just hurt an innocent man.
Yeah.
The struggle continues as we had a host of people running down. We had Orange Cassidy, Hook, Adam Cole, and Daniel Garcia entering the ring.
Biggest faces gone.
Yeah, these are our top faces. Cut into the distraught faces of Darby and Orange as Danielson is stretched out. And this is just a great somber shot of just Darby sold this so well.
Yes.
He really did, you know, give the flowers to him. And that shot just told you everything that you needed to know. That is the top stars. And it's like you see, when one of them, which probably will be Darby, hopefully beats Mox, which will be so full circle for Darby and his story. It will be so powerful.
Exactly. And the story tells itself as well. It's Moxley, the man who said he wants to fix the company for some reason, versus Darby, the man who's been willing to die for the company since day one.
Yeah. And all their shared history. And I find it really interesting that they put Hook there as well.
It's very telling, isn't it, I think?
Great, because we've complained about Hook and how we want that push for him and we want to see him go on to do better things. So it's great that is an intention. Orange Cassidy, you know, with the earlier Jerry Lynn promo. But I don't know about Orange, because this is just me theorising. I think he's still wearing the darker denim. And I think a lot of people are gunning for that top title. I can see Orange maybe going to the dark side and maybe getting jealous that people like Darby and that are going to get the opportunities that he feels like he should get. I don't know though. We have got the conglomeration thing, but just a little theory there, random theory. Adam Cole as well, him being there. Yeah, interesting. It probably sets out, you know, from earlier that do forget about we're not doing any of the Undisputed Kingdom thing. Like, in case you didn't know before, you do now, because he's all for saving the company. And Daniel Garcia, you know, he's going after the TNT, and him being there says a lot about his mindset and his motive. And a lot of these people as well, like, they've kind of been on the back burner for a while, so it's nice. It was just really nice.
Yeah.
I felt really positive, like ending the pay-per-view, though, even though all this awful shit had happened, that camera shot. I was like, these warriors, man, they're gonna rise up and they're gonna rebuild and they're gonna take it back.
Yeah, and I think that's a good takeaway to have from it. I feel like if you're coming away from it really negative and being like, "Oh, I can't believe his career ended this way," like
You're
I think
delusional.
yeah, and I think you're deliberately missing what was trying to be conveyed with that final shot of all of them standing there. Like, yes, I know they looked sad, and it was a very sad situation, yeah, but I think the point is the future is bright. We've passed sort of not like passing the torch, really, is it? But it's this man's career is over, but it's okay because look, we've got these people and they're great, and it's
But
all
the
going to be
fight's only
okay.
just beginning.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
and you're gonna have to strap in
it's
and
gonna
get
get
ready for it.
darker. It's
Yeah,
gonna get harder before it gets better. So yeah, strap yourself in, grab
and
some
you,
snacks, get
yeah,
ready, because like shit's going down.
and you're gonna enjoy the ride, and you're gonna
Exactly.
it's well, this roller coaster metaphor. There's gonna be ups, there's gonna be downs, but it's gonna be fun.
Exactly. So overall, I mean, what a pay-per-view. And for as I said before, a pay-per-view which neither of us had high expectations for going in. I just thought it was I thought it was a filler pay-per-view. I looked at that card and I thought, well, Danielson's winning, and
Yeah.
Takeshita's not going to win the belt, and Hangman will probably bloody win. And I just didn't think there would be as consequential as it's been, and it just feels like a really hard reset button creatively and setting up a lot of people for strong TV going forward.
Yes.
Um, for sure, and not even just Danielson stuff, but like I said, Jay White, him rebuilding, and then all the returns that we've still got to come. We've got a debut in Lashley. We've got Kenny who's probably confirmed for Dynasty. I can't even think, not Mox, Max coming back temporarily for a little bit, and Swerve coming back, and all these key players, but also the landscape has changed
Yeah.
um, so much, and what the fallout is going to be of this new BCC regime, and there's so much that I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to see Yuta. I'm excited to see his dynamic in the BCC. I'm excited to see what does the Christian Cage thing? How's that going to come into it? We've got Copeland to come back as well.
Oh my God, yeah, I was gonna bring up Christian Cage as well. Where does he come into all of this? Like maybe Darby versus Mox. Darby wins, and then Christian cashes in. Fuck you all. You don't get your feel good moment. Maybe.
Oh,
Who knows? Um, yeah,
people will
yeah.
be crying about that.
Oh, people will be bitching and moaning. But yeah, yeah, well, exactly what you just said. I can't put it any better. And I think it's funny how I don't think anyone really gave Mox like the time of day when it came to this match. We definitely didn't. We were just like, oh yeah, Danielson's obviously winning.
It
Move
makes
on.
sense. The facts. Imagine, we should have sat down and looked in the mirror and been like, if Moxley loses this, it undermines everything.
Yeah,
It was obvious
exactly.
that he was going to lose, but that's the magic of Danielson. That's Danielson in it. It's like I said, the way the crowd was cheering for him the whole way throughout, he felt untouchable. He felt like a god, and they desecrated that god, and that left you with such a feeling of hopelessness. It felt so real.
Yeah.
It felt so real. Like,
Everything
oh,
about it did feel real as well, especially because Excalibur on commentary was getting emotional. He was getting choked up saying,
sold it so well.
yeah, everyone was looking really sad. The fans were all, so I don't want to, it's probably, I don't know, I want to compare it to just that reaction reminded me of like when The Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar and the
Yeah.
streak was ended. Just people like, what? Like disbelief, like, what's just happened? Is this real? And then the bell and the announcer confirms, and it's like, shit. Like, yes, that actually just happened. It was akin to that level of disbelief and sadness and emotion.
Yeah, it lured you into a false sense of security,
Yeah.
which isn't easy to do. We
It's not
all
easy
got
to shock wrestling
worked.
fans.
Yeah, we all got worked. It was so good,
Severely.
and I just hope that they follow off on the Dynamite because the Dynamite's after the pay-per-views. You hype yourself up, and then there's not much consequence. So I really hope that they capitalize off of this for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too. Hopefully we'll be. I mean, we will. We'll be back with the Dynamite review, so do
Yeah.
keep your eyes open for that. But yeah, I guess. Are we going to give it a rating out of 10?
Do we rate pay-per-views?
I
Have we
think
ever
we.
done that before?
I'm not sure. I know we definitely haven't on some. I don't know
I didn't know
if
that
it's.
was a thing that we did. Well, we should do it. I
Do
don't
you
know why
want
we
to?
haven't
You
done it.
don't have
Do you
to.
know what we should have done as well? Is we should have done like our match of the night as well for each pay-per-view for the stats at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But I don't
Well,
even know what
you
my
know
match of the night
what?
would have been on this.
It's nearly 2025. We can do it in 2025. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at our amazing spreadsheet. We gave Forbidden Door a rating, which was an 8. But that is the
Can
only
you read out
pay-per-view.
every rating? Oh, that is the only pay-per-view that we've rated.
Yeah.
Right. Consistency.
So yeah, that's it.
This
Well,
pay-per-view for me
according to this anyway.
was a 10 out of 10.
Really, a 10. I felt like it dipped a bit towards the middle. I just feel like after the
Yeah, but this blows out of the water. Yeah, but
yeah
the ending blows out of the water. I think for me, a pay-per-view, right? How I rank a pay-per-view is the tone, and I think it's different to Dynamite because Dynamite, I'm a bit more nitpicky. I'm like, well, this bit was shit, this bit was shit. But a pay-per-view, the main event sets the tone. Take Full Gear, which I never shut the fuck up about, and fuck that writer that left because he's bloody responsible for Full Gear main event, and I'll be talking about that on my deathbed. But that ending ruined that pay-per-view, and there's a lot of goodness on that pay-per-view until the main event. So for me, the main event is just telling of it, and I think the landscape, what they've crafted, everything, it's 10 out of 10.
yeah yeah. I know what you're saying, and I agree with you. I agree with you. I guess it just took such a dip in the middle, but there was just a couple of matches that I didn't really enjoy in a
Oh
row
yeah,
that just
for sure.
made it not a 10 out of 10 for
But
me.
Takeshita's Takeshita's the champion, and like Jay White won, and then Will had a really great match, and then but fuck all that, fuck all. It doesn't even matter. It could have been like 3 hours of Jericho. That main event. Come on, you're not gonna get a better pay per view than that.
Yeah. Okay.
Ending than that.
Okay.
10 out of 10. So those are our only ratings. Forbidden Door 8 out of 10. WrestleDream 10 out of 10.
Well, yeah, I guess retrospectively rating them, it's not going to work going back in the past and rating them in the ones that have already gone. But we'll try and do that from now on, I guess.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think
let
it's a
us
good idea.
know if you agree with our 10 out of 10 rating, because I've definitely seen a lot of mixed reviews online, and I love how it's made everyone talk, and
Yeah,
it's
it's stirred
created
an
a lot of
absolute
discourse.
storm. But one thing I want to say is a lot of the discourse, sometimes I just feel like not everyone, but a lot of people who complain, and this is especially particular to the Danielson retirement angle, are people who don't even watch the show, and they just see a
Yes,
viral moment and they jump on it, and
that
you
is
don't
so
have any
true.
context to it. And I think that's why a lot of the hate comes from, is people who don't even watch it, and then they
Yeah,
just
I
come on
agree.
and pop on. And I'm sorry, how obsessed do you have to be with something that you check in as soon as the pay-per-view's over and write about it online? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't watch WWE. If I happen to stumble across something, or if I'm curious, or the other day I watched the Bad Blood match with Drew and Punk at recommendation of Lucy, very very good. I will do that. I will check things out. But I've never ever in my life been like, oh, this WWE thing happened. I'm going to research all of it and then make a post online about it. That's obsession. That's
Because
not normal. That's
you've
mental
got
illness.
better things to do with your time.
Shockingly, yeah. But it's pissing me off because like, the whole context of that match is it's not the retirement of Danielson. So if you're making a comment online about how it's a waste of a retirement, well, you don't watch it.
Yeah, you
It's very
just don't know
telling.
what you're talking about, and
Not even a valid point.
you just
Moot
told on
point.
yourself. So
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm high strung today.
I know. I think you're absolutely right, and that's what I was going to say too. Most of the people hating on it don't watch AEW. They just love to pick a moment and hit on it without knowing the full context, without watching the product. They just
And
want
that
to jump on a bandwagon.
is the legacy of Vince McMahon. Watch our Vince McMahon special.
Oh yeah, definitely go watch that if you haven't. We reviewed the Netflix series, and that was full of discourse. Very interesting.
But yeah, I don't know how long we've ran for today. It was a long episode, but
there was a lot to unpack, and I think we've unpacked it. But help us unpack it a bit more in the comments, because
Lucy's trying to wrap up, and I'm just rambling on. Yeah,
go on.
wrap it up.
Yeah, just let us know what you thought, because I'm interested to hear. What you all thought of it. Is 10 out of 10 right in your opinion? Please let us know.
Probably not, but think less, feel more.
Oh, that's our motto. I love it. That's our slogan. Need it on a t-shirt. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. Or if you're listening on Spotify, follow and give us a rating. Means the world all the support. Thank you so much. And we'll be back this week with a Dynamite review. So, yeah, hopefully the fallout's going to be good. Keep our fingers crossed. We'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching.
I must bid you adieu, goodbye, you rock, and good night, bang!
I wish you died in the womb!